Well, good evening. We are getting ready to reopen our in-person Sunday gatherings, and there are a number of things I need to go over with you as briefly as I can. First of all, when we left off in March, the last thing I remember saying was that I declared Lockport Life Church a no judgment zone, and that still remains today. Due to underlying medical conditions and other things, some people may still not feel ready to return. And we need you to understand the general rule is if you are sick, any kind of sick at all, doesn't have to be specifically COVID symptoms. If you are sick, stay home. If you are vulnerable and at risk, and you've heard those words and definitions given for the last 3 months, then you are urged to stay home as well. And if for any reason you have those kinds of underlying medical conditions that make you at risk, so you are also urged to stay home. With that in mind, I'd like to go through some of the rules for those of you who would like to venture out. They basically break down into 3 important categories. You've grown accustomed to physical distancing, to face coverings, and to hand hygiene. They have, New York State Department of Health has translated that into religious gatherings, and so I want to touch on those that are relevant in our particular situation. As it relates to physical distancing, New York State is determining our capacity for in-person gatherings. Right now that number is 10. That number could change. It's been a very fluid situation with all of these rules. It's been very difficult at times for the leadership team meeting every Friday to keep up with the changes, and certainly some things may change. This number may change between now and Sunday, but today all I have is the number 10, and so we are going to go through the rest of these with that in mind. You must maintain a distance of 6 feet at all times unless you are members of the same household. Anytime individuals come within 6 feet of one another, they must wear an acceptable face covering. Touch contacts such as handshaking, fist bumps, hugging, or kissing are prohibited. I know there's a few people that will find that very awkward once they get in proximity to people that they love. They want to give a hug or give a handshake, and we have to consider that this is part of the restrictions that are being asked of us. Distancing starts as soon as you exit your car in the parking lot and when you step underneath the overhang at the front door, and we're asking everybody to enter through only one door, and that is the front door. And you will see the red tape marking off those 6 feet distances, just like you've seen and probably the businesses that you have frequented during these months that we have been through this pause order. Secondly, I want to talk a little bit about protective personal gear. They require a face covering of any kind. I happen to have a mask here, and so at the very least, you need to be wearing a mask. If you choose to upgrade, you can get this forestry helmet, and it will help you be even more protected. And some of you will want to make that. No, you won't actually, so don't take me seriously on that one. Okay, so we want to get through this. Individuals must wear face covering upon entering the building. You must not only have a mask with you, but you've got to put it on, because the assumption is that when you enter the building, you are likely to pass in less than 6 feet from someone. Face coverings are required at all times within 6 feet. So no matter where you are, if you're less than 6 feet, you have to have a mask on, again, except for members of the same household. Face coverings can be removed once you are seated. You arrive, you'll see that we've taken out rows of seats. The seats are separated by 6 feet, and so the rule is that once you are seated, you may remove your mask. You don't have to wear it the entire time that you are here, and I know many of you will appreciate that. Let's move into this next area of hygiene and cleaning. Individuals are responsible to maintain proper hand hygiene at all times. Hand sanitizer will be available at the Welcome Center if you need it. Restrooms, and this is something you have to really think about for a minute. Restrooms should only be used if necessary. Here's the thought that I have, that maybe women more than men are accustomed to coming through the front door and maybe going straight to the ladies' room to adjust their hair or whatever. We're asking you not to do that. To only use the restrooms if necessary, because there's a cleaning protocol that goes with these hard surface common touch areas. So please plan to not use the restroom if you can help it. If you need to use the restroom, the capacity will be limited to one at a time, no more than one person in the restroom at a time. If somebody's occupied that restroom, it's kind of like flying on an airplane, it's occupied. And when they come out, then you get to go in. Food and beverage sharing is prohibited. That means there'll be no time of coffee and fellowship and the foyer upon dismissal. In fact, when you arrive, they don't want anybody congregating in the foyer and just doing the regular visiting and talking. Folks, it's going to be very difficult for those of you that are coming back and seeing people you haven't seen for a long time. You can't hug them, you can't shake their hand, and you're not allowed to just cluster together. So we're just going to have to make the best of this. It's not ideal. Hopefully some of these restrictions will be relaxed with time. Now, the next part is very important. It kind of stands on its own two legs. Before entering the building, each individual must be able to answer no to 3 mandatory screening assessment questions. And here they are. Number 1, COVID-19 symptoms in the past 14 days. You have to answer that in your own mind. Positive COVID-19 test in the past 14 days. You answer that in your mind, yes or no. Close contact with a confirmed or suspected COVID-19 case in the past 14 days. If the answer is no to all 3 questions, you are then allowed to enter the building. If the answer is yes to any one of the 3 questions, that means you should not enter the building. Now, we're not going to have somebody standing at the door with a clipboard taking down your answers. Why? Because that would be a violation of HIPAA law, which basically protects your privacy with medical information, and these are medically related questions. So I want to be as clear as I can. We're counting on you to be honest. We're counting on you to be intentional, that when you pass through that door, you have responded consciously a no to all 3 of those questions. People who test positive, even if no symptoms are present, may only return to church after completing a 14-day quarantine. Now notice that in every case, they're putting an emphasis on the past 14 days. It's possible somebody tested positive 2 months ago. That, in effect, does not count. I'm not going to explain why medically. I'm just saying they're looking for the last 14 days. Now, if you want to come and you want to venture out and you're not sick and you're not at risk and you don't consider yourself vulnerable, then we certainly want you to come. And here's how we're going to have to do this. They want you to sign up and let us know that you are coming. That is the only way we can be sure where we stand in regards to our capacity, to our 10 attendees or our 10 congregants. And here's what I'm asking you to do. If you would like to come on June the 7th and or June the 14th, those are the 2 Sundays we've designated as orientation Sundays. So these special rules or this special sign-up is specifically targeting those 2 Sundays. If you'd like to come, text your name to my cell phone, which is 716-525-2750. Now don't be a wise guy and just text your name in some generic sense. I want you to put your actual name, and then what my phone does is it will keep track of the order in which these are received, and your name will be put onto a list. If you don't have texting or you can't text, then call me and leave a message. And the message need only say your name. You can talk about whatever you want if you want, but certainly leave your name. You leave your name, I'm going to put your name on the list in the order in which it was received. By indicating that you're ready to attend in person, you are also agreeing to follow all the above rules. For these 2 orientation weeks, we need everyone to be present on the Sunday that you have signed up for by 10 o'clock. Okay, that's not our regular time, but I need you here by 10 o'clock. Why? Because there are constant rule changes. There are things going on that are very crucial that we have access to talk about these things before we begin to live stream at 10:30. So we need you to be present at 10 o'clock. Fourthly, your name is added to a sign-up list in the order in which it is received. And I know that there's a number of questions, so let me try to get this to you as quickly or simply as I can. If let's say there's 10, we're limited to 10 on Sunday, June the 7th. If you are one of the first 10 respondents, someone will contact you that you are to come on that day, and on first come, first served basis. If you say you're going to come and then you're not able to, something comes up, please call me because you're taking someone's seat. I'm assuming the waiting list will be longer than 10. No one will be able to attend twice until everyone has had an opportunity to attend. So, if on the 7th we are limited to 10 people, then on the 14th of June, we'll go to number 11, 12, and the first 10 that came the first week will have to be willing to be patient and just sit it out. We'll take the next group of people. Hopefully by then the numbers will revise upward, and if they do, we'll try to accommodate as many people as we can. Keep in mind, live streaming will continue. So we hope that everyone will be able to follow this information, comply with what are intended to be rules for our safety. I know that we have many different feelings and views about this. The important thing is that we all work together and try to get everybody back into church and oriented as soon as we can. We're hoping by June 21st we might be able to do an outdoor service out at the Raymond Road property. We talked about that briefly on Sunday. The barn should be completed. Today they delivered all the materials. Tomorrow, God willing, the Amish crew is showing up and they're going to raise the barn and the roof will be on by Friday of this week. So we're hoping by the 21st of June we can be outdoors and we won't have some of these limitations in terms of capacity. We don't know what's going to happen beyond that, so that's all we're talking about tonight, June the 14th, and well, actually that should say June the 7th and 14th. I got a little mistake there. Sorry, I'm only human. Okay, here we go. God bless you. Thanks for watching. Call me if you have any unusual questions. Bye-bye.